Thank you for doing this for us today. It was really, I think it means a lot. And I feel like I wanted just to kind of start maybe a little bit of our history because we go back pretty far. And when it felt like I didn't know what was going to happen 10 days or so ago and all of it, the chaos was going on, I was like, I've been through this before and I know the most important thing is your mindset. And we're going to shift. It's coming. How do I best prepare our people for it? And of course, I thought of you and the times that all the times that you've helped me through things, and it's been an adventure. So, and starting about, I was just going to share a little bit about when I first joined Keller Williams because it made me feel like that was a mind shift for me. I mean, I was stuck at 119,000, 122,000, 118,000, 124,000, and I just couldn't get past it.
And you were with a traditional company, right?
Very traditional company, the only company I'd ever been with. And I had like hit the ceiling. And I remember I heard Gary Keller talk and I wasn't even going to go. I wasn't going to pay any attention to him or anything. I was sitting in the back and he started talking about his kid and vegetables and eating. And I was like, what kind of a real estate person, does this? This I've never heard. And then he started talking about mindset and he talked about E2P and getting purposeful and just getting on purpose to get past something. And it just really got my attention because it was a different kind of training and it was a different mindset. And I'd always done things very conventionally and I'd had an assistant, but I'd never really leveraged it. And I ended up joining KW. And the next year I had met you. You'd helped me with some business planning and some people in my life. And all of a sudden I wasn't at the 120 mark anymore. I got to 350. And it was just like that explosion of what your mind can do to you if you let it. So I was thinking about that going, that's every time there's been a shift or something happening. If I get my head right, everything else works around it.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. I mean, that is how it works, which is strange, I mean, it goes against some intuition that when things are tough, you hunker down, you work hard, you put, and you just kind of put the blinders on and then you'll get to success and you'll be happy. But it goes the other way around, isn't it? It's the positive mindset that starts it. So you want to talk a bit about that today a little bit?
That's why you're here. I love you and I've loved being in business with you. I think back and I don't know that the Market Center that we opened together in 2006 would have survived had I not been in business with you, because you just really helped me with that shift and you guys wrote Shift at that time and it helped us tremendously.
Well, we wrote it after that, I mean, you and I opened in 2006. The market, we knew it was shifting. We could see the numbers nationally. We knew we had to prepare, right? You and I had already had this in motion. So we were going to do this, you and I, and we worked hard to get that core group together to fundamentally have a solid base of good people, which we did. That was the whole thing at the time. You were already deeply plugged in to the power of Keller Williams and you understood it and you were going to masterminds with Gary. And then you invited me in and I got to bring my wealth of expertise and strength to our training program because I would come out every month and we would do a training session and we would use that to attract more of the quality people that we needed. You stayed very disciplined. I always have liked your bottom line attention to doing reasonable things with money. You're very good with money, right? You're not greedy with money, you're good with money. And I think it's really, when I think back and realize not just that beginning, when we first transmitted, we were profitable, right? The first transmittal, which is pretty astounding to begin with. And you had negotiated rents to make that work. And you did a lot of really brilliant setup things that made that, or you were there as Gary and Mo and I were developing them and implementing them from a Market Center point of view. That's why you finally decided that you wanted to open a Market Center. I mean, you were a top agent and I, against my advice as your consultant, against my advice, you decided to become a broker and build a brokerage. And I went, well, there's no other better place to do it than Keller Williams. I believe in that, but it is a tougher game. Or I don't know if it's tougher. It's a different game than being a top real estate agent, right? It's a different game. I would just say to agents, be really good at building your real estate agent business. And if you turn it into a MREA team and all that, do it, study it, keep your margins strong, keep them at 30, 40%, because that'll give you the cushion. And right now, Debbie, I know, and again, I just want to say to you, you were able then to keep us, even during the tough times, profitable all the way through. Every month has been profitable.
Yeah, knock on wood, right?
Well, I mean, knock on wood, but it's been outstanding. And because you're very careful with money, well, the interesting thing is right now, you have built up a solid cushion, so you can withstand some downtime for whatever it is, 6 months, a year. You know, we're not going to plan on that. We're going to make the best of it. But you've got the financial wherewithal that the agents who are in business with you know that office is going to keep its doors open and its staff in place, right? That's a big assurance for an agent to know that in this dire time, which is not going to be true of a lot of other real estate offices, you're going to be there for them, and the staff's going to be there for them. The technology is going to be there for them. And of course, Keller Williams International is going to be there for them. So I just want to say, I have great admiration for the way you've built that office and the quality of the culture and the quality of the staff and the kind of people that are really our core group as an agent, right? As agents. Now, what I want to do in this little time together, obviously it's easy for me to reinforce to people the power of the Keller Williams model. So one thing I want them to understand right now, there's no better company to be with right now, given the challenges, than Keller Williams. There is not a better company because look at all of the support that's being brought. I mean, you can go on to KW Live and KW Connect and just be getting constantly great training, 6 hours a day, every day. A hearing of people who are really out doing real estate in these markets or telling you what they're doing to survive through it, right? And how they're building their database and how they're using command and how they're doing all these things. And one of the things that's always been a wonder to me in Keller Williams has been the commitment of agents to help each other. And I know you have that in your office, and that people are going to be supporting each other and giving ideas and energy to each other. Because that's the culture, isn't it?
It's what we do.
And it's what you do, and it's what you've built and what you believe in, Debbie. I've always loved that you really love the people that you're in business with, and you care about them. And every day you're looking for ways to help them. And if they run into difficulties, you're helping them solve that, right? You're finding a way to do it. And that's the atmosphere that your team has. So let's talk there's a couple of things to talk about. I mean, I know there's a lot of ideas being shared about what to do in this market, given the conditions. Now, this is very different from the Shift book we wrote, where it was really, that was all about real estate. That was the explosion of the bubble, right? The bursting of the bubble, of the real estate bubble. And that meant this severe downturn, probably worse in Vegas and Arizona and Florida than a lot of other places. But for the whole national market to come down 30%, unheard of in the history of real estate, unheard of. So through that time, you had to help people stay in touch with their people, build their databases, knock on doors, master short sales and REOs and all those other things that weren't even a part of our nature in the real estate business, right? But and this is the lesson to all the agents listening to this. When you master a new set of skills, it propels the rest of your career. So a lot of those agents that mastered short sales and did that hard work, and it was hard work, and stayed strong and stayed committed to the real estate business and their clients, they came out the other side, and now they're doing really well. Now they had to shift again back away from the short sale business into the traditional listing and buying business, but they did that. They already had the systems in place, and they had the intelligence and the client base. So the thing that I would just say to people, start at the beginning, and then I'm going to go into a real talk about mindset, because I believe that mindset is not just a set of words, it's a set of strategies. And there's a way to get there. And we've mastered it in Keller Williams. And I just want to share some of that with you, because this is about mindset, right? So here's the pragmatic stuff. In general, Gary Keller and I always believe that a real estate producer's business is 1/3 lead generation and conversion, and 1/3 training and skill building, and 1/3 doing transactions, meaning servicing transactions, right? It's kind of that. So in this game right now, the key is do not stop your 1/3 of lead generation. And that's just calling your database and calling people and how are they doing and checking in with them. And of course, it's taking care of your current transactions. We call that the 12th tactic, which is bulletproof the transaction. But no, we need to be helping people complete their transactions. And there are still agents that are doing that, right, Debbie? And they're still taking listings and they're still getting offers and they're still doing virtual open houses and virtual tours and all of the things to cause homes to sell. True?
Definitely.
Yeah. So what we need to remember as players is that in real estate, it never all goes away. Now, it's going to be a little darker right now than it has been before, only because we're being shut down so much about being able to do business, right? Talk to people, meet with people, have meetings and closings and all those kind of things. But that's going to be short term. It is going to be short term. I mean, the economy and the regulators are not going to let that go on for more than a couple, 3 months when we get past this early storm. Remember, we're trying to flatten the curve. We're not going to stop the coronavirus from infecting people. That's going to happen because there's no way to just not have anyone be in touch with anyone else. But we're trying to flatten the curve so it doesn't go up steep and cause incredible duress and difficulty. And so we are flattening the curve. I mean, we'll look back on this and see if it was the right decisions, but we are flattening the curve. But there's a lot of pressure right now, and you can feel it in this big $2 trillion package that just got passed by the Senate and is going to supposedly be passed by the House tomorrow, and Trump will sign it. And, there's a lot of things we might disagree with it, but it is resources being brought to the table. And then one of the things I would encourage people, so here's what I encourage you: lead generate, get people, be in touch with them. And then the second part of that is build your database. And so part of that is the training and learning side. Use this opportunity to become a master of command. Use this, and I know you're bringing training into the market center. And so is Keller Williams bringing training. So the training is available for people to learn how to use the best ever customer relations management system ever invented in real estate. And it will be getting better and better. And it's going to be tied into AI and big data, things that other people can't do, because this company has been tracking its data since the beginning. And so what we have to draw on to really use the artificial intelligence well is amazing. And so that platform is there for our agents, and they need to master it. And then they need to master how to offer consumer to the consumer so that they lock in through their database this sphere of influence and these relationships. Now that will be time well spent. And I know it doesn't earn money now, but it will earn money later. And so it's an investment of your time and energy. Then what do you do in the short term? Well, you're going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to use credit cards. You're going to have to see if you have sources of income, family, wherever, just to make it through. Cut down on all your expenses, negotiate your rent. If you're in a house, negotiate your mortgage. I mean, there's a lot of that discussion going on in Keller Williams because those institutions don't want a bunch of other properties on their hand again. And and landlords can't replace you, right? I mean, landlords cannot replace you. There's no someone to put someone in. So foreclosing on you or getting you out is not going to be happening in this environment, not for several months, right? And we don't know how long it's going to go. But the point is, batten down the hatches financially. And then the other is, and this is one of the things I'm just encouraging all of our agents to do, and do it through your market center, do it through Keller Williams, get really in tune with what's going on in the world of the government bailout. Okay, this $2 trillion package, because, and as I was just on a call with the top 100 in the Northwest region, and one of the guys said, the thing I have to realize is I didn't cause this. Real estate didn't cause this. We don't have to feel guilty about going and getting whatever government support we can get to make our way through this. So they're talking about, because now the SBA is being empowered to do loans through banks. So right away you can go, as soon as this gets cleared, you can go into your local bank, and you want to build relationships there, and you may be able to get a loan that covers your payroll, or a loan that covers any other of your expenses in business, and you can file for unemployment. I mean, if you don't have any business going on, just assume that you're unemployed, and that there's going to be good money coming from unemployment, at least enough to get by. So in a sense, in this day and age, while we're very proud and self-reliant, understand it's okay to go find out any resources you can that can help you financially in the short term. So one is take care of the short term. And then the more you learn about what's going on out there and how to access it, the more you can actually help that out with your database.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, I've learned how you can get, if your business needs a small business loan, here's the process, here's how to do it, here's how to accelerate it. If you have people that have been laid off, here's a way to get unemployment quickly. And the new amounts of unemployment are significantly higher than they were before, right? I mean, we've always been a source of community information, haven't we, Deb?
What we do.
We've said, be the economist of choice in your market. So we've always paid attention to what's going on in real estate. We've always paid attention to what's going on in financing. And so and we all have relationship with our communities. So we're in a perfect position to be a resource for people. And the same thing with where do you get care? I mean, I know, Debbie, you have wonderful contacts in the medical community. You've helped so many people who've had medical issues. We just need to get, okay, where is testing available easily, quickly? Where is medical help available? What are the best places and sources, and how do you get in? And right? Because that's what people are going to need. They're going to need that information. And I think as we share it in the market center, and the more we kind of become a resource to our clients and our community, then they will remember this. Again, on this call I was just on, one guy said, my whole team has been calling our database, and they are so thankful to hear from us, that we cared, that we cared enough to call, and how are they doing? It's not that we could do anything for them, but they really wanted to know, how that we cared. And I said, and he agreed that, after this is all done, they will remember those phone calls. They will remember those phone calls. So to me, those are the things that we're doing right now. Now, let me start to shift a little to mindset. And then I want to go with a couple of those documents. I think did you send those out to people, the ones that?
We did. We sent them out, and Cassie was going to post them on the chat.
Okay. All right. Good,
so everybody can see them in the question.
So, well, I'm gonna fire it up, because when I get to take control of the screen, then I'll just pop that up when I'm talking about them. Okay.
That's perfect.
So that's easy. So here's one thing I do want to share though with people, because we need to understand what this means about having the right attitude. Because everyone tells, oh, you gotta have a positive attitude. Oh, get over it. Just get on with it. There's a lot of pablum that people share with each other that really doesn't impact us. And so when Gary and I put together the 6 personal perspectives, and I'm going to cover those in a second because those are really fundamental, we knew that your attitude was not something that was just surface. And so I want to share with everyone a wonderful book that's just come out called The Happiness Advantage. And it's kind of tracking my own development. I had to deal with depression, cyclical depression early in my life. I almost committed suicide 40 years ago. I came from Gary used to say he came from a long line of lethargic people. Gary used to say that. And so when we were building the 6 personal perspectives, like the ones like focus and E to P and, all of that was him, because those were proactive ones. And he wanted to make sure that in his life, he didn't get lethargic, and of course we know he is not, but he really mastered changing his inherent nature, which was to be sort of laid back and lethargic, to be a very proactive person. Well, I said, I come from a long line of depressed people, which I do. My grandfather spent the last 20 years in the nursing home, totally depressed, almost catatonic. My father had mood swings all the time and got to in the anger zone terribly. And then I dealt with it once I got into my 30s. I started dealing with depressive thoughts and discouragement, and things would get me down. And so I then really had to learn how to master my moods, master my attitude. And I did. And I mean, over time, I learned how to do that. And what I would say is that one of the pathways on that is anything that has to do with cognitive psychology, anything that has to do with how the mind impacts the emotions and your behavior. So that begins with cognitive psychology. Wonderful book called Feeling Good by Dr. David Burns. Highly recommend that to anyone who has a family member or themselves dealing with anxiety or depression. He really talks clearly about how we think and how we talk to ourselves, and also the language we use externally impacts how we feel and where we go, whether we go into depression or we go up into ambition. And so but then I studied a gentleman by the name of Dr. Martin Seligman, who in 1998, as the president of the American Psychological Association, stood before their convention and said, it's time for us to stop spending so much time focusing on mental disorder and disease and start focusing on mental health and mental accomplishment, mental strength. And he formed what was called positive psychology. So in 20 years now, we've been really doing research on positive psychology. And out of that, for him, came a book called Learned Optimism, which I would highly recommend for people. This is a great time, by the way, for our own training to start kind of doing some self-education, taking this time, not listening to, not binging on Netflix stuff and all that, although you can do that for fun, but really during your working time of day, really focusing on things that matter like this. So it's called Learned Optimism. His original book was Learned Helplessness, where he, like a lot of people, were studying disease, and he was studying how do people get to this victimhood state where they can't do anything for themselves. And then that made him think, what's the opposite? And when he went to discover the opposite, he said, it's optimism. And optimism isn't Pollyanna positivity. Optimism believes that I am in control. I can make a difference, that things I do and the actions I take will change what happens, the outcome. And so I may have tough choices to make, but I can always make a difference in how things turn out. That's what optimists say, right? They're not Pollyannas. So that being said, and then this book I want to refer to people because it just came out a couple years ago. It's called The Happiness Advantage. The Happiness Advantage by Shawn, S-H-A-W-N, Ancor, A-N-C-O-R, Ancor. And what he says, I want to read a part of this right now because it gets to the heart of it. He said, the new research in psychology and neuroscience shows that we become more successful when we are happier and more positive. It isn't that success leads to positivity, it's that positivity leads to success. Optimistic salespeople outsell pessimistic counterparts by 56%. He said, brains are literally hardwired to perform at their best, not when they are negative or even neutral, but when they are positive. And I remember when I was working on my doctorate in counseling psychology, one of my professors said, everyone has one of two words in their head, either the word yes or no. And he said, 80% of people have the word no, and 20% of people have the word yes. And the yes people far, far, far out accomplish and succeed and are happier lives than the people with the word no. Oh, no, I can't do that. No, that worked for me. No, that doesn't work. No, I doubt I could, all that negativity and self-doubt. And so you really work in your life to overcome that. Now, what he says is, then he did a whole study of students at Harvard, and that's where he first got these principles. And then he's continued his studies with business. And this book talks about the results. But I just want to hit the highlight because he said, first of all, that all the evidence shows of our research, that he calls it the happiness advantage. Positive brains have biological advantage over brains that are negative. Retrain your brain to capitalize on the positive and improve your productivity and performance. And of course, in dire, chaotic times like this is the time where we build that strength. And I'm going to talk more about that kind of from a pragmatic point of view later. He said, we learn to change our mindset, and that gives us power. He said, we often get stuck in patterns. So one of the things we do is we retrain the brain to say what is needed here. And the way we do that is that we look for, we use our positive mentality to find the new path to success. So it isn't that we just say, oh, everything's going to be fine. No. We use it to problem solve. And then the other thing is we learn how to take small steps in the right direction so that we keep increasing our capacity to go in that way. It's not an all or nothing thing. And the other is that we make small increments in our energy so that we have staying power and willpower. And then the final thing, and this is what's important for people to understand about the power of being with Market Center 605 and with Debbie Zoyce and with the power there and with Keller Williams. And that is, it's called social investment. The most successful people invest in their friends, their peers, their family members to propel themselves forward. They build a social support network. And we believe that, don't we, Debbie? Definitely. That it's your social network that gives you staying power. So right now, the worst thing someone can do is isolate and shut themselves off. They need to open up, talk to more people, do an elbow bump and have a cup of coffee somewhere. Just be online. And it doesn't have to be business oriented. It can just be social. Let me tell you what I'm feeling. Let me tell you what I'm dealing with. Gina, my wife Gina, is a master healer and women's empowerment coach, and she works with women all the time. And what she finds is when they start to be able to share and talk about the things they're dealing with, they start to get a grip on how they can make a change. And then they can start to have the courage to begin to make that change. And then they can build a momentum that moves them more to clarity and more confidence and more sense of control in their life, right? So it's just part of her life and what she does. And I realize is that I've always done that. It's interesting, Debbie, you've known me as a trainer. I'm considered an optimistic person, true?
Definitely.
And a high energy person. People, the presentation I did at Family Reunion with 3,400 people in the room, I got so many comments back on that saying, Dave, I can't believe your energy. That room was just full of the energy. And whoa, I just felt a difference. I've had people say that they weren't going to come to Family Reunion, and the fact that they went to my session meant they made the right decision, and they went home and made changes, and got to a different place. Now I say that because, see, I really believe that's always been my role. Sharon Gibbons used to tell people when we were back and we had like 8 or 10 people in all of Keller Williams International. And and she was the chief financial officer. And she'd say, hey, if you're having a bad day, just go talk to Dr. Feelgood. Dave is Dr. Feelgood, and you'll come out of it feeling good. Well, I love that because it's not shallow. It's deep. I deeply love other people and care about their capacity. And when they come in, I can help them feel better about themselves. And it's nothing but truth, right? I just see their capacity and their ability. And I think that's one of those neat things that you get to do in life, right? So because I say that is, I've been a student of this game of self-mastery. So that's the first of the 6 personal disciplines, self-mastery. And that's where you master your own attitude, and you master your own positivity, and you master your own resilience and your staying power, and you're in charge. When you decide to do something, you do it. A lot of people call that self-discipline. I just call that self-mastery. You may be careful what you commit to, but when you commit to it, you do it. That was one of the things when I moved down, when Century 21 moved me down to Texas from New York. And I'd been a regional director up there, and I came down, and first I was a regional director for 4 states who were losing market share. This was in the late 80s when the time of the savings and loan demise was going on, and they were Century 21 was losing market share like mad. And I came in and within 4 years turned it around. We were actually gaining market share more than any other Century 21 region in the country. And I can tell you that turnaround was because, and people would say this, they would say, if Dave says he's doing it, count on it, right? So I knew I could make promises and I would deliver. And I knew that we could turn things around. And of course I had to get rid of, out of my 500 offices, I ended up getting rid of 200 of them and replacing them with other owners. So sometimes you have to make tough decisions. Sometimes you have to let a seller go and decide you don't want that listing because they're not going to be pleased, no matter what you do. So I think one of those things you do in life is to learn how to let go of negative things. And sometimes that's relationships are negative, you push them away. Gina calls it mastering your boundaries. Having boundaries and standards, and if somebody violates them, you don't need them. They're not in your life. There's no reason, even if it's a family member, by the way. You know, and you may not be able to get rid of them, but you may be able to stop listening to them and stop giving them any emotional power over you. So these are strategies that really make a difference to people in the way they lead their lives. So let me just share a couple of things that I want people to understand, and hopefully it very much is beneficial to them. So the first is I want you to know that you're with a great company. Keller Williams is built on models, and that's important in all of your life to understand. We put in the very page 36 of MREA. We quoted Tony Robbins, and Gary and I had both read his book Unlimited Power, and he said, realize that success leaves clues, that people who produce outstanding results do specific things to create those results. Actions are the source of all results. That's why you stay in action. Whatever you do, you stay busy. You give yourself tasks, even if they're learning tasks or database tasks, or taking out cleaning the house, or whatever. You stay in action. The process of discovering exactly and specifically what people do to produce good results is called modeling. And he said, to me, modeling is the pathway to excellence. The movers and shakers of the world are often professional modelers, and they have mastered the art of learning. Gary says it's the fourth personal perspective. Be learning based. When you're learning oriented, when every time you attack something new, you say, I can learn this, I can do this, then that's the key. And he said, and then you become a detective, an investigator, and you find the models that work, and building from the success of others is one of the fundamental aspects of learning. So what I would say to people now is pay attention to what you're hearing on KW Live and KW Connect. Spend time listening to these podcasts that are coming out, 6 hours a day, every half hour for 22 minutes. And these people you're listening to on there, they're knowledgeable, they're credible, and they're going to give you great ideas about how they're dealing with this, about how they've built their attitudes. And so understand that you're with a company that is committed to and the reason we're the greatest company in the history of real estate. And I am so proud that I had 12 years, began in 96 with 1,800 agents, left my active employment role in 2009 with 72,000 agents, and now we're over 160,000 agents. Astounding. And the reason is because this company is built on good models. And I'm saying this so you want to incorporate models in your life. So, Keller Williams knows how to do the money side of it, the profit sharing. They know how to do real estate sales at every level, from Ignite at the beginning all the way up as high as you want to go, MREA, expansion. They know how to share leadership with the ALC, their agent leadership councils, as Debbie does in the office. We believe in rewarding, that we believe we grow on relationships, not anything else. We're not recruiters and marketeers. So we don't spend any money on national advertising. And we know all our recruiting drives off of the referrals from our best agents. They have a relationship. People say, they trust them, and they say, come on, talk to our team leader about joining us. That's why our reward system, profit sharing, works that way. But the two wings that make us fly are 5 and 6 on this list. We're a learning-based company. We believe in learning at every level. We believe we've got the courses for every level of everything in the real estate business that you could think of. We've got a course for it, and we've got credible people teaching it or putting it video online on KW Connect. We understand productivity. See, a lot of people think that production happens out of a work ethic and just working hard, maybe even working smarter. No, it's about accountability. Gary said 10% of success is goals. Another 10% of success is having a path, how to do it. And 80% of success is accountability. Isn't that amazing? He said that a long time ago. And what he means is, if you don't have accountability, you don't keep on track, and you slide off track. So we have productivity coaches. We understand coaching. We understand accountability. It's not discipline, it's feedback. And we understand, we have MAPS coaching. And so anyway, we're masters of that. And we know that our highest achievers allow themselves to be held accountable by others. I would recommend that to people. Don't do it alone. have an accountability coach, even if it's a peer, even if it's two people holding each other accountable, or 3 or 4 people gathering as a mastermind to hold each other accountable, as long as you understand the accountability process. The other is that we're a culture, and we are both a values-based culture, the Y4C2Ts, and we're an achievement-focused culture, and that is the 6 personal perspectives. In other words, we get things done. We believe in high achievers, and we also believe in treating each other well, which is the Y4C2Ts. And then the final thing, and I really have sort of added this on since I was teaching this, and that is that we get technology. We're an agent customer focused technology. Our technology is first there to help the agent succeed, and second of all, help them build a relationship and serve their customer. Those are 2 big deals. So use this time to master the technology, implement it, get your command up and running, understand it, take the courses, go through the learning curve, because it will be, and we say it in MREA, we say your database is your business. We say it right there. And that was like written 15, 16 years ago. And we knew that your database was your business, the Mets and haven't Mets, and your 8x8s and 33 touch and 12 direct and all that stuff, the way you build a database, feed it every day, communicate to it in a systematic way, collect all the money when it comes payday. I mean, that's how it works. So models are important. Master the Y4C2Ts. They're a sales presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me tell you why I work with I do and how we get the results we do. First of all, we do no transactions that aren't win-win. Second of all, we work together as a team because everyone achieves more. We have it written in our value proposition that customers always come first. So when you work with me, you have this whole team behind me helping get your property sold. See, that's a listing presentation. Now, the other thing I'll say is go to page 95. Well, we'll do that in a second, because there's a whole 2 presentations, listing and buyer. 6 personal perspectives. Just remember what they are. Number 1 is commit to self-mastery, just what I'm talking about. Learn to master your attitude, your actions, and your discipline. Learn to do that. Learn to overcome your emotions and stay calm in chaos. Learn how to do that. The second one is focus with a 20/80. That's the one thing. Bring focus in your life. Don't try and do too much. Do one thing at a time. Do it fully. Have focus. The third one is go from E to P. Go from entrepreneurial, winging it, to purposeful. What works? Easy, and we got a whole chart that shows you how to do that. Number 4, be learning based, meaning like your number 1 strategy in taking on anything is to learn how to do it. Go get your best education, get your role model, get your systems in place, learn that, build your skill, build your bandwidth, increase your bandwidth of knowledge, skill, and attitude. Learn to do more things better. Everyone can get better at doing things. And then the next one is, after learning based, is to get rid of limiting beliefs. And there's a big one to getting your own attitude. See, one of the things that high achievers do is they know when they're not thinking right. They know when their mind is undermining them, when their self-image is undermining them, when they're losing confidence when they shouldn't. And so they learn to remove that through training and sometimes therapy. They learn how to remove those limiting beliefs so now they can be fully the person that they were meant to be. But there's a whole process for removing limiting beliefs, and high achievers commit to that. And particularly now, if you're feeling really down and discouraged and frightened, that means you got a limiting beliefs going on. You've got a dark side that's coming from somewhere, maybe not even be you, may have come from a parent or someone that was around you when they were raised. And those negative messages in your head are a limiting belief. And so we need to get rid of those because they're in your way. They're in the way of your positivity and your proactivity and getting what you want. And then the final one is accountability, of course. And that the thing there is, it's the fundamental, if it's to be, it's up to me, right? It's ownership versus victimhood. I can't do anything. That's the learned helplessness side. Accountability is the learned optimism side. So master those 6 personal perspectives. Go view them. Debbie, I dug out, I got somebody sent to me, I asked them to at Win-Win Productions. Remember the videos I did on the 6 personal perspectives? Mm-hmm. Remember those? Do. Yeah, well, they're not up on there anymore. I've been talking to Gary about, they ought to have a section on KW Connect called Oldies But Goodies.
You would be all over it.
Huh?
You would be all over it.
I'd be one of the, Yeah, right. I'd be the Elvis of oldies but goodies. So anyway, I'll send you the link to that, Debbie, if you know, so that on my Dropbox, and if you have anyone that wants to go watch any of those or you want to show any in the market center, feel free to.
Love
Okay.
to. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the models we need to remember, it's the 3 L's: leads, listings, and leverage. So we just know that it's all about, remember, it's 1/3 lead generation and conversion, 1/3 training and development, and 1/3 servicing your customers. And then master the models, the economic model, the lead generation, budget, and organizational. Now, what I want to do is also, and let me just move this around, remind you that, and I've got 2 things that have been handed out here. One is a real detailed look at the key pages of MREA. So the ones that are highlighted are even more key, the 9 ways MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent thinks. Page 95, if you have this printed out or whatever, put a star by that. Those are 2 listing presentations, a listing presentation for sellers and a listing presentation for buyers on 1 page, because it tells right there, here are the 10 things we do for sellers, 10 things we do for buyers. So I would just use that. I'd even read it. You know, it's okay to read it, but I'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before we begin, let me take a minute to tell you how I work and how we get the results we do. First of all, there are 10 steps that I follow in order for you to get your home sold for the best price in the least amount of time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. May I run those 10 for you with, and then there it is. The 10 are right there. Here are the 10 things I do. And they're going to go, whoa, this guy's really organized. This guy really knows what he does. Wow, there's a lot of value there. And no other agent, I will tell you, maybe 1/10 of 1% of any other agent would give that thorough a listing presentation. So do it. And there's one for a buyer there too. And then there's really looking at this whole area from page 133 to page 148. 133 to 148 is the heart of lead generation. It's all right there with the charts and the circles and the understandings how to build a referral-based business. It's all there. And then for those of you that are building teams, page 196 to 203 is the crux. It's right there, 7 pages. Is the wisdom about how to turn your practice into a business by building a team. There's the path, there's the job descriptions, and there's the caveats along the way. Like Gary Keller and I said, the first key for you is your personal productivity. So your first 2 hires are admins to make you more productive, so that you can do the dollar productive activity: lead generation, lead conversion, listing appointments, getting listings, and then negotiating win-win agreements. So that's the key. So what I'm saying to you is, take this page and say, okay, now I want to get clearer about what my work is in the real estate business. And then of course, all the ones from page 219 on are all the things about taking it to the highest level. Okay, that's for those that are really advanced, but it's a great reminder of those. Now, we had a wonderful table of contents in MREA, but we didn't have that good a table of contents, only 1 page on shifts. So here's my table of contents for you, right? Here's all of the things where you really learn. Page 13 to 17 is the laws of equilibrium. Why when you increase market share as the market goes down, when it comes back up, you come up bigger. This is a perfect time to do that. This is not going to be as long a shift as the 3-year shift we went through before, 3 to 4 years. I'm telling you, and you can just write it, it's not. There's too much interest and pressure from government and everyone else to have this be short term. We flattened the curve for the virus so that it didn't overwhelm us. We've done that. We were continuing to work at doing that. We still have a lot of work to do, of course, to cure people and all of that. Still, all the steps are important, but the thing is, we flattened that curve. Now it's not going to go away in a few months, but the heat of it is, and then we're going to be able to get back into business. And there's a real urgency for everybody in the economy to do that. So the point of it is, build your relationships, build your database, build the number of people you know, your sphere, so that when we roll back, you're there. And then, of course, everything else here is about the fundamental things I want to tell people is that if you have a team, then read the first 3, 1, 2, and 3. But if you're by yourself, read tactics 4 through 9, right? So that's about find the motivated. And I would just tell you this: the best thing ever written on lead generation is chapter 4, best thing ever. And the 2 M's of lead generation, the message and the method, the message, the market, and the method. Those are just they're brilliant. They're really brilliant and clear. And the same thing with all the scripts and dialogues for conversion, getting people to the table. Number 5, and time blocking to do it. What do you do in your time block? Because if Gary is saying now you should be lead generating 4 hours a day, well, what am I doing? Well, it tells you in there the 3 steps of doing lead generation, what you do. It's not all about making calls. And then, of course, it's the working with your sellers. In other words, it's pricing it right, and it's staging it right, and we're telling people my job is to get you not just on the market but in the market where things are selling, and then creating buyer urgency, tactic 9, and then I would skip, unless we start doing short sales again, all the way to number 12, which is bulletproof the transaction. Which right now, if you have them in the loop, there's your whole focus right now, getting those to closing. So that's the fundamental game. And then I think the thing I'd like to do, Debbie, in the last few minutes here, is this all right? We doing okay?
Yeah, I think we're doing good. Okay.
What I want to do in the last few is just do a little summary of what I did at Family Reunion. If you want the full PowerPoint presentation I made, the full amount of slides, then I'm gonna say to you, send me an email. And I know Debbie would love me to send it to her so she could just share it, but no, I don't want that. Okay. Because I like to test people. See, to me, a lot of people just, oh yeah, give it to everybody. Yeah, I'll get it. Nope. I only want to give it to those who want it. So if you write me personally at dave@kw.com, easy, dave@kw.com, and tell me one thing that you got that was valuable out of what I've just covered in the last 45 or 50 minutes. Just one thing, tell me, and how you felt about it. Send that to me, and then I will send you back this item right here, plus actually the entire presentation and one thing that I'm going to read at the end of it. So to close it. So the thing is, this is about building your self-mastery. And to me, I call it light my fire, like really get my fire going. And I think the FIRE is an acronym, and Debbie knows we love acronyms in Keller Williams. And it stands for freedom, intention, resilience, and enthusiasm. And the short form of that is freedom means live in gratitude. And that comes from Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Miracle, in which he meets Simon Potter, and Simon Potter has great discussions with him at a downtime in Og's life. And then Og tries to find him in the spring, can't find him, and he finds on this table a memo from God. And God says this, the memo from God, short form of it says, I've created life to be abundant, and you can have whatever you want. If you do these 4 things. Number 1, count your blessings. So there's the key right there, live in gratitude. Whenever you're feeling down, count your blessings. Even the blessing of growing from the challenges you're now facing, or learning from a mistake that you made. But the big thing is, count your blessings. Number 2 is affirm your uniqueness. Understand that you have God-given abilities, and affirm those and assert those and develop those and use those. You don't have to be like anybody else. And then the third one was use your God-given power to choose. That's freedom. We give ourselves the freedom to choose our own path in life. God's given us free will. We get to choose that. The fourth one really goes under resilience, and that is go another mile. In other words, hang tough. Don't go the extra mile. That's a different attitude. Go another mile. Just keep at it. So freedom, live in gratitude. Intention, we know this, be on purpose. Know your what you want, how you're going to get it, when you're going to do it, put it on your calendar, and why you want to do it, your motivation. So intention, what you see is what you get, be on purpose. Resilience, build your toughness. Build your mental toughness, your resilience, your persistence, your tenacity, your resilience factor. Learn how to stay calm and focused. And when you face stress, use Dave's MELT formula, MELT. Meditate, learn how to meditate and quiet yourself physically. Exercise, get the blood going, go for a walk. Laugh, L is laugh, and T is train. Train yourself to be able to take more. And some of you may have seen the movie Free Solo with Alex Honnold, climbing the face of El Capitan with nothing but his hands and his feet on this precipice, straight up granite, 3,000 feet, and just little handholds and toe holds. And if he misses, he's gone. And yet he's got the calmness. So what we learned by that movie is it's in preparation and it's in learning to stay calm under duress. Amazing. There's a set of skills. And then finally, enthusiasm, and that is may the force be with you. Mm-hmm. That is the force of life, which is entheos. That's what enthusiasm means. Entheos, the God within, entheos. And so tie into your enthusiasm, tie into your energy, feel it. Feel that life-giving force that God has given you and take off all the shackles of that. So that's kind of my message for the day. It's a process, so it's not easy for some of us. It takes us a while. We have to learn it. And the final thing I would like to do, Debbie, in this section is just read something. Wayne Solomons asked me to write the foreword to his book, The Art of Getting Back Up. And at the end of it, the end of the foreword, I had put a bunch of other stuff in the beginning. I kind of came up with this litany, and I think it's a good way to remember that life is not easy. Life is about adversity, and the Buddhists say life is suffering. But one of the arts of living well is learning how to deal with it. M. Scott Peck, in his book, The Road Less Traveled, says life is difficult. And when you admit and know that life is difficult, it gets easier. Meaning you have to face it the way it is. So here's what I say. Here's what I know. All high achievers will deal with failure. They'll deal with doubt, discouragement, and even depression. They'll feel fear and weakness. They'll lose friends they thought were forever. They'll feel judgment they don't deserve. Their hopes and dreams will get cloudy and unsure, and they'll want to stop trying so hard, and they'll want to avoid the pain. Here's what I also know. This is the path of the free enterprise warrior. This is the story of the entrepreneur. This is the burden of heroic leaders. It just comes with the territory. It's part of the game. It's the challenge we must endure. And just remember this: beyond the darkness is light, beyond the pain is joy, beyond the burden is contribution, and beyond the doubt is meaning. So have at it. I mean, bring it on. Get ready. Prepare for it. Absorb the wisdom, the art of getting back up. Learn the steps and master the skills. Feel the power, the resilience, and the tenacity. Bring that confidence to your work, to your venture, to your purpose. Know that you will certainly get knocked down. You will, but you'll never stay down. You have the unstoppable power of persistence. You embrace the optimism and challenge of always getting back up. Enjoy the journey.
If we could all clap, we would, because that was good, Dave. Really, really good. I think we've got a couple more minutes for questions, and people can chat in the Q&A box, type something in.
Have they sent you any along the way or no?
I have a question, and Kathy Hazerig asked us the name of the book on happiness. She says Anchor has several. Is it?
Well, it's called The Happiness Advantage.
Happiness Advantage.
The Happiness Advantage, but probably anything by Sean Anchor is going to be good because he's highly respected. He's a research scientist, but I think this is the foundational one. Yeah.
And what was the name of the other book? Learned Optimism?
Learned Optimism by Dr. Martin Seligman, Seligman, and he's the founder of Positive Psychology. Really strong book. Also his book called Authentic Happiness, because these positive psychologists have been studying what generates happiness. What really does happiness mean? Because we have lots of, people's kind of winging it definitions. So, and how do we get there? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. It's I saw Yale has a course on happiness, and they're opening it up. Anybody can take it during this time for free, which I thought is really
That's wonderful. By the way, he built that course.
Who did?
Anchor.
Oh, nice.
Anchor. What happened was he was that's what he was studying there in 2008, 2006, 2008. He got his doctorate in studying positive psychology. And so I think he was part of teaching those courses. I mean, I don't think he's there now, so there's probably other people, but good. I'm glad they're opening up. That's where the research was done. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, not Yale, it was Harvard. Okay, but right next door. There we go.
Similar, they're both good, right?
That's right. It's Ivy League, and there we go.
Yeah. Lots of thank yous in here for you for spending the time, overwhelmed with tears of joy for this time with you. God bless you. And a list of the books mentioned. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I will send. If anyone who sends that document, I'll send it to you also, Debbie, but anyone who sends me the email and wants the slides from my family reunion presentation and that last thing I just read, I will also include in that the list of my top 10 books for dealing with attitude.
That's great. And so it's dave@kw.com.
Dave@kw.com. Easy peasy.
Thank you, sir. I think it's, I really appreciate this time and your generosity to
well, great to be here, and let me know. We'll be happy to come back. I know that people are dealing right now with a lot of very pragmatic things, and that they need to, but what we're talking about here is doing it with the right mindset, right?
Yeah, and that's really, I appreciate the time. My goal is to get our guys not just through this, but through it.
Oh, through it and beyond. No, we're not short-term thinkers. We may be short-term survivors, and we're very good at doing what we need to do short-term. We're courageous, but no, we're going to come out the other end of this. And I think one of the things I'll just say, Debbie, if you think about this, Keller Williams, we said we were built for adversity, and so we came out of it. Those early days I talked about with Gary Keller, we came out of it with 9/11, because you were there. We were going to do mega camp on 9/12, and you were there, and we did it on 9/12. We didn't let it stop us, and we did it again a month later for those who couldn't fly into that. And so we came out of that growth and became the number 3 in the country. And then we went in the downturn, the serious downturn, people closing their doors, shutting in the 2007 to 2010. And we came out of that, and now we are like 40% bigger than any other real estate company in the world, which is amazing growth in that period of time. And I think now we will come out of this, and Gary Keller talks about going from a 10% national market share to a 20. This will kick it. This will kick it.
It's what we're meant for, right? What we do. Mm-hmm.
No, it is. No, it's what we do. And it's because we're totally focused on our own agents and their success. And because we're focused on their success builds. And of course, this is also a perfect time for people in the market center who have friends with other companies that aren't bringing them the support that we are, to have them come on over and be part of our team. Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir, very much. I love you. Enjoy you. I always enjoy spending time.
Love you, Deb. Take care.
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.